So we all know of theories, and there's this one theory I've heard. Maybe you have too. I don't know. Small theory, that we live in a simulation. Yeah, it's no small theory. Almost a lot of people know it. Not almost everybody. As far as so many about the number of people who actually don't know it, but so many people know it. A lot of people know it. Okay, and I came across another theory that kind of connected with the theory where we all live in a simulation. And that second theory was if we can make a simulation that's as good as like our lives, then we most likely live in a simulation. And I thought it was really cool because I remembered there were little games made on that premise. I mean, EA, small company, small company. They make the Sims games, pretty big game. And the latest one, Sims 4, I was playing about a week ago. Playing a few weeks ago, and I remembered the theories, and I was like, wait. I connected the dots, and I was like, wait, this actually kind of makes sense. So I want to tell you guys. So Sims 4 is already a good simulation. It's not even the best. Like, nobody's trying to make a simulation. Except EA and a bunch of other companies. But EA, that game is specifically made so that that simulation, simulates real life. And it's really close, not gonna lie. So I propose that we have a high chance that we live in a simulation. And I'll get into all if we're the original the original universe, or like a different simulation later. I want to say this. EA isn't even trying to make a game not what I mean by trying. They're not trying to make anything as good as ours. Like, they're trying their best, but they're not putting like all their time and money and resources, all that into, making Sims 4. And that is, well, I think that if governments and like multiple companies worked on trying to make a simulation, they will do it in less than a decade. A simulation as good as our lives. Sims 4, it's a lot different because since it's supposed to be played as a game, so there's a bunch of other factors that makes it, not realistic, because it's just a game, okay? I mean, they even have like Grim Reapers and like otherworldly deaths. Like, they have vampires, I think, like some mod packs. It's crazy. So that's what I kind of think why we have a high chance of living in a simulation. Now, looking at scientifically, it's a small probability. We most likely do not. But we don't know, since we don't know how the characters in the game feel like. Like The Sims 4, we don't know how they feel like. We only we see the stats, but they're all like ones and zeros. So if we're in a simulation, then we're probably ones and zeros too. How does that work? Like, it's confusing. Like, you can't tell. It's really hard. It's really hard to tell. And if we can make, if the theories are correct, like the theory where if we can make if we can make a simulation as good as our lives, then yeah, it's a high chance we live in a simulation. If that's true, then I'll give you guys a scenario. Let's say beginning universe. It's called universe 0. Universe 0, let's say in 2021, they're like us, theorizing about a simulation. And by 2050, they actually make a good enough simulation. And by 2050, they still think that they live in a simulation. And by 2080, they figure out, okay, we don't live in one. That's fine. Wait, let's start up a simulation and just speed through times. Because I heard another theory about how come the early days went by so fast, and then these days are going by so. Now scrap that. That was a stupid way of explaining it. Anyway, okay. Let me rephrase this. So, Universe 0, they figure out they're not in simulation. They start a simulation, okay? And the simulation's going on, and it reaches 2020. The same cycle happens. Let's say Universe 1. Universe 1 is their simulation. Universe 1, in their 2020, are thinking about, okay, we might live in one. By 2050, they make one. But in Universe 1, they don't figure out if they are in a simulation or not. Because in Universe 0, it's kind of easy to figure it out. In Universe 1, it's really hard to not figure it out. Because there might be some there might be some clues, but they can't tell for sure. And okay, so I want to tell you how Universe 0 figured out how they figured out in this scenario. Figured out that they're not in a simulation in this scenario. It's because their world was perfect, no glitches, nothing else. Okay. But Universe 1, of course, since it's a simulation, they'll have some bugs. So that is how Universe 1 figures out that they are in a simulation. And just praying to God that nobody trips over the power cable. With that, I got that theory out of the way. And you know what? I have time. There's another one I wanted to talk about. The Mandela Effect theory. That's what I'm going to call it. I found it while scrolling to YouTube shorts. And it was talking about how the world actually ended in 2012. Now, it makes sense from the information given, but from a scientific standpoint, it doesn't make sense at all. And how do we still feel the same? I personally, I was born before 2012, okay? And I don't remember, the world seemed off. But I don't remember anything, if we did, okay, so let me just get into theory first, then I'll talk about that. Theories about, if you ever heard of the Mandela Effect. If you haven't heard of the Mandela Effect is, when a bunch of people believe they saw or heard something, but it was actually something else. So Pikachu, he didn't actually have a black tip on his tail. You know, the Fruit Loom thing? It didn't have a cornucopia, whatever that thing is called, as the logo. And the Monopoly Man never had a monocle, stuff like that. A lot of people think that, the Monopoly Man had a monocle, but he did not. So they were like, okay, So like a bunch of scientists call this a Mandela Effect because this person called Mandela, he got put in jail and people thought he died, but he was actually alive and out of jail. So that's the origin of the Mandela Effect. Now the theory is that the world ended in 2012, let's take out another scenario. Universe 0 is before 2012. 2012 occurred, and world ended because there were a bunch of theories then that the world would end in 2012. You can see all the movies. So a lot of people, I'm not sure about a lot of people, but some people think that our Universe 0, the people here in Universe 0, actually got transported into another universe. It's like taking a file from one hard drive, taking it, copying, pasting it into another hard drive before the first hard drive gets corrupted. That's basically how it's working. That's basically how the theory goes. And a lot of people, and like the theory goes that goes to say like stuff like the world seemed different after 2012 and beyond, which there's some differences and there's some similarities and differences, whatever. But honestly, I don't think so, because like, how is that possible? Science has already figured out that gods don't exist. But then again, gods could exist. And since they're gods, then they're probably making it so that they're not found. Oh my god. It's really confusing. So I want to know what you think. Do you think we live in a simulation? Do you think we can make a good enough simulation that's as good as our real life? And do you think that the world ended in 2012 and we transferred into a new hard drive? Anyway, see you later. Bye. By the way, I wanted to say pineapple and pizza is actually good.